So I've done my thumbnails, and now I kind of want to look at that thumbnail and at the photo as I do my sketch. And here I've looked more at my photo than my thumbnail. So I'm going to look again at my thumbnail. Because I'm liking the feel of that thumbnail better than I did the picture photograph. I think I'm adding some things and that way. Okay, so I've got my sketch down. I am going to try to make some puddles of color here, and I'm going to do the first one just a light warm red, and I got enough water in there. The next one, I'm going to put some paint here, is going to be a cool red, and then I'm going to do a nice cerulean blue, and then for the so I've got my warm pink, my cool pink, so cad red, alizarin crimson, cerulean blue, and then maybe I want a nice yellow. So I'm going to go to my cad yellow, a warm yellow. And these are just tints, just nice tints. So I've got those 4 tints there. So this is a nice warm color, so I'm wanting this dark to be a nice cool. So I'm going to think about that when I mix my color. Now I want to make sure that none of the places I'm going to touch with this cool green is still wet in my flower, and I do not want this to drip down. Now I pulled if I like a mark that my brush makes, then I just leave it. If I don't like it, then I'll come back and touch it up a little. Maybe some white spots in there. And if I go too far, I can just erase that with my brush. So I'm getting nice variations of that alizarin crimson is showing up, and I decide if I want to pull my brush away or towards my flower. So that's a nice, interesting edge right there. And so, but I'm going to watch this area here. It's just wanting to leak down into my flower there. And I don't want that because I want that to be a nice light area. Okay, I want some of that same dark over here. But I want this to be an interesting shape, so maybe that is a little more interesting than I had at first. Then I'm just going to come up here. Now this is still a warm blue down there, so I'm going to dance with my brush. Maybe come right down here, and I like that dry brush effect, so I'm just going to leave it. Going to come down here. This is a nice gray color, so it's different than the green. But it's still cool, so as it goes up against that warm red, it's going to look okay. Now I don't want to ruin this dry brush down here, so I'm going to add a little more red to make it purple. And because of that, I think that's still wet up there, so I don't want to paint, but I like this purple color against the yellow. I think that will be nice. So this is starting to really show up nicely there. But I don't want a hard edge all the way around here, and where this white is, maybe I want that edge to just get a little softened there. And it's just going out into that color. And then maybe a few places here too. I'm just bringing that, softening that edge and bringing it out into that with no water on my brush, just a wet brush. Okay, so because this has a nice yellow tone to it, I want to take some of this purple and just put it up next to that yellow, pull it back up into the green wash. So that will kind of cause some vibration there. And right on the edge, I want to soften that edge a little. And I'm going to decide maybe right here, pull that up a little, and maybe on this edge right there and pull it back in. And I want this to kind of gray down. Maybe I want to echo it over here a little. And so to gray that down a little, a purple, I would add a yellow. And I want it to be cool, so I'm going to just gray it down with a cool yellow. That's looking very nice right there. And maybe I want this to come up. To this area there. And looking right there. And I went right over that white area I wanted to save. So I'm going to come back and erase that. So this is coming down. Going to add even more of a lemon yellow, dipping in every time. And I'm going to glaze right over the top of this gray color that we have. So we're losing the definition of the flower. Instead of having a dark hard line all the way around it, we just lose that edge. When we're looking at something very bright, it's hard to see the lines all the way around the area that is so bright. So just having variety of edges is important. I want to just lay my brush stroke down, and then I'm going to get my smaller brush, the rigger, and I'm going to get that same color and just come around here and lay that down and make a hard edge right there, and then even more alizarin crimson, and just, that's almost a pure color, and then bring a little bit of water right in to that color so it will bleed up into there. I like that effect. And then down on this end, I'm rinsing out my brush a little and just going to have that color here. And then that color, I'm going to add a little blue and just come down right around that petal there and pull up into there. And I'm going to, I don't want that to drip, so I'm just going to press down and lift up. So I'm just looking at details now. And while that's still wet, I'm going to come in with a little cerulean blue and just touch the edge so you have a nice blue bleeding into the red over there. And then the same thing with this blue. I'm going to do this edge right there, and then I'm going to just bring that up into some different areas right here. And then right here it's a darker color, so I've got the alizarin, the cerulean blue, and maybe mix that with a little of the alizarin crimson and bring that down a little. And if it's too dark, take a look at it and see. Maybe echo that right there and bring it up here a little. Okay, that's looking good. Soften that edge. All right. And then some of that blue is going to come down from the other direction. So the petals are pulling down this direction also. And I don't want them to be all the same shape. So if I go too far, I'm just going to lift that up there like that. Now there's that nice white area there, and I want to maybe get a cool again and just come around that. And it goes interestingly in like that, and then a little bit of blue on the other side that comes out right like that. Okay, then we're going to take and just pull that area away from the wash, and this area here I probably want blue again going off this direction, and that defines that petal there. So you know, it takes some time to define these edges, and your brush strokes are nice and free. And if that brush stroke is free, I don't want to go back and mess it up. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Ultramarine blue to come out here. I'm just going to lay that rigger down, bring it out, and this way. And that quick stroke left some nice little dry brush in there, and maybe a little right there. So I think I want to do a little bit of spattering in this background here, but I really want to save and preserve these whites. So I'm just going to take my masking tape, going to just put some edges in here where the spattering won't go. And I want to make sure I don't leave any slits. If I leave a slit at all, it's going to affect where the spattering goes. And I like this rough edge of the tape, bringing it right down. The torn edge leaves a nice edge for the spattering, and so I've almost got it all covered up with masking tape. This will just make it when I spatter a little more free, and spatter. So you want to get everything out of the way. I like a little that little purple color. So I think I'm going to come up here and just do a little bit of spattering up here with that. Then come down and add a little green, Hooker's green to that color. And even more. Down here with that. I don't want it all to be spattered, so I'm thinking about designing the spattering also. And you want to be careful that you don't lift off any of the painting. And so you need to make sure you have a good hard surface on your paper, which would be like a cold press 140 pound. And then you want to make sure you get all the tape off also. Allows a little more freedom in putting down those spatters, because you know it's not going to get on your white flower. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Going off here. There. Kind of some fun things happening around the edge. I'm just kind of filling around to make sure I've got all of the masking tape off, and I believe I do. So we'll let those drops dry. I don't want this background to be a bright green, but I want to come up around the edge of this flower. I want to make sure I leave, maybe I just want some spaces in there of that gray showing through.